patrons of the Imperial Army of Rome. Sergeant Publius, on behalf of the Imperial Roman Army and the nation of Israel, I would like to thank you for appearing.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has not yet been sworn in.
Your Honor, Sergeant Publius Patronus is an Imperial Roman soldier under Caesar himself. To call into question his integrity is to call on the integrity of Caesar himself.
We'll do go on with it. Objection overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you, Publius, for showing up at this hearing regarding this lunatic Jesus who apparently rose from the grave after 3 days after being crucified. We have an excellent report regarding this, and it's thanks to you. Now we will go over the details of this report.
Objection, Your Honor. Is the counsel here trying to make a political statement or examine the witness?
Yes, do go on with it.
Yes, Your Honor. And according to your report, you were one of the soldiers commissioned by the Jewish leaders to watch over this body of Jesus of Nazareth. Is that correct? During the night, the guard fell asleep, and then the Jewish rebels went and stole the body of Jesus. Is that correct? So there we have it, Your Honor. On the word of an imperial officer of Rome, we have heard that these Jewish rebels have stolen the body to defraud the people of Israel and Caesar himself. No further questions. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Sergeant, for being here this morning to answer some questions here. I know this court's been set up to settle the dispute among the Jewish people because they've been squabbling and everything else. So what I'd like to do is ask you a few questions just to get the background of everything that's going on, because from what I understand here, your men were sent to go guard the tomb of this body of this person named Jesus, who apparently believed that he was going to come back to life and that that was the proof that he was the Son of God. So we're just going to ask you a few questions to set up the background.
It is not. No Roman soldier would ever take orders from any rabble in an occupied country. My supreme leader, Pontius Pilate, is the only one I take orders from. Supreme leader Pontius Pilate was approached by the Jewish leaders begging for help to protect a body that might be stolen by a dead cult.
Oh, very good. By the way, how many of this guard were you? Was there 2, 3?
Our guard was a standard formation of 8 men. It was considered enough to prevent the theft of the body.
8 men? Really? 8 trained soldiers to guard a beat up, torn apart body? And really, is this really that big of a job? I mean, seriously? And you need 8 men to guard against some, useless, little followers who really aren't that important? So you send 8 trained soldiers? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, were these old, feeble soldiers, perhaps new recruits that weren't really prepared for duty, and you guys just kind of threw them on this job?
No soldier of Rome is ever a new recruit or old people. My guard have been with me for 8 years, 6 of which training in Rome. And your words, counselor, are bordering on insolence, so I implore you to choose them correctly.
No offense intended, Sergeant. I'm just merely trying to establish background here. So you and 7 Roman soldiers were sent to guard this tomb. So the question I have for you, Sergeant, is this. What did you do when you first arrived at the tomb?
First off, we checked that the body was in the tomb and that it was sealed correctly.
How was it closed?
A large stone was rolled in front of the entrance, as it is in your Jewish customs.
How large was the stone?
It was almost as high and as wide as a man. It took 4 men to roll into place, and then dropped into a small ditch right in front of the entrance.
Must have made quite a noise, I suppose, rolling that big rock into that gravel thing, you know what I mean?
Who cares about the noise?
And then what did you do, Sergeant?
I personally sealed the tomb to make sure it would never be opened again.
Alright, you sealed the tomb, but did you use some kind of concrete or some kind of weird new technology that the Jews never heard of before?
I used something far better than concrete. I sealed the tomb with the seal of Rome, with Caesar's face on it. Any man who dares break that seal risks having a penalty of a very slow and painful death.
And yet, by your testimony, these impotent followers seem to have done just that.
Your Honor, I object.
Yes, Counselor? Go ahead with your objection.
Counsel is showing disrespect to Caesar, Your Honor.
Be a good fellow and don't show any disrespect to Caesar. Now go on.
Yes. Now, Sergeant, during your stay, were you given any food or drink?
Certainly not. No soldier would ever take food or drink in an occupied country.
Why is that?
Food may be poisoned or drugs to cost the population.
Were you all drunk?
Your Honor, I object.
Yes, counsel will moderate his line of questioning.
I would like to answer this charge. No soldier of Imperial Rome would ever be caught drinking alcohol on the line of duty, for the punishment for such an act would be summary execution.
Now your army has a saying, keep your toga on, or keep your shirt on. What does this mean?
Nothing. I've never heard it. It means nothing.
Now, wait, looking at my notes here, I am told that the term relates to a nasty habit that watch commanders have when they find a sleeping guard. Apparently what they do is they set their toga on fire, and then when the guard wakes up, they run through with a sword. So what I'm understanding here is the penalty for sleeping on guard duty is death. And yet all 8 of you live. Why is that?
We reported it immediately to the Jewish leaders about the body being stolen, and they made it right with our commander.
So, out of gratitude for a job well done, Sergeant, here, let's sum up. You and 7 other highly trained soldiers of Rome of the Imperial Army were on loan to the Jewish leaders to guard a dead body from being stolen by a few ragtag followers of this Jesus of Nazareth. You placed an unbreakable seal on the tomb, and then all 8 of you fell asleep. And you were drugged, you didn't do anything wrong like that. You must have all been very tired, especially when you considered what the punishment was for sleeping on duty. And then sometime during the night, probably 6 or more followers of Jesus managed to roll this massive stone back and then make off the body to wherever. And then the Jewish leaders, out of gratitude towards you, made everything okay so that you didn't get executed. Is that right? Is that how it went, Sergeant?
Yes, that is what happened. Because that is what I said happened. And if you have any further problems with my statement, Counselor, you can take it over to Pontius Pilate himself.
Well, then I guess that's what happened, Sergeant. Thank you for your time. Oh, and just one further thing, Sergeant. Now we've firmly established that you and your guard were sound asleep, I have just one more question. How do you know that this Jesus didn't get up and walk out of the tomb if you were firmly asleep?